What's happening, you guys? This is Greg, and today on GR Plays, I got a Fallout 76 flavored episode where I interview the Wasteland HOA in-game. We find out what they're up to and the amazing things they've been doing. Let's check it out.
Well, good evening to you, HOA members. Boss, we are broadcasting to you live on location from the White Spring in the second floor. What would you call this, Colby? Some sort of like regal hallway, or
This is a lounge for sure.
some kind of lounge. Yeah, we're in some kind of regal lounge, and we're sitting with our Greg from Gamer Redefined, who is here to do an interview with the HOA for his gaming blog, social media site. How would you describe it, Greg?
Well, I am, again, thank you so much for having me on, you guys. My name is Greg Ballard, and I'm the producer-editor for Gamer Redefined, and we're a gaming and geek culture news and interest channel.
Well, I happen to be a geek who's interested in gaming and news.
It's that's what we do. But you know, we're your geek. We're your kind of more modern, slick sort of. I don't know. I'm trying to do it very professionally. You know, in terms of how I present my reviews. We unbox. We touch everything. Comic books, gaming.
No. I want you to be as professional as possible. Hold on real quick. I'm going to do a shot of whiskey and hit this joint.
I do like it. I do.
Well,
I like the guests relax. So that's good.
Well, I'm hyped up on Psycho. Man, cocktails. Anybody? Drinks. Robotic hand jobs. Anybody?
Speaking of that, Mr. Handy, did anybody see that tweet earlier of the person that started experimenting with their names and found out that fuckface is programmed in the preset names?
Wow.
Yeah.
I did put that in your
Fallout
article,
4
Greg.
and
That
this
better be
game.
the first. You can quote him on that.
That's interesting stuff. Tell
Greg,
me
let me introduce you real
now.
quick before we get too far underway. Of course,
Yeah.
you know, Boss Daddy, I am sort of the face of the HOA. I am
Yep.
the MC. Next to me, of course, is Chief Technician, AV Technician Colby Cheese. He is the one who climbed the top of the world and hacked into Rose's dish, allowing us to broadcast HOA TV to all of Appalachia. And next to us is Mac Fraggins, of course, and he keeps us drunk.
Nice.
And
heart,
what a
the soul,
black
the
shriveled
liver.
liver it is.
I'm meeting all the major players. That's what I like to see. So, it's Fallout 76, of course, we all know for the people who are watching it for this, is a multiplayer game it's fairly new. Hasn't had a lot of time to build a community, things like that nature. But where did you guys get this idea from? To explain to people, like, what is it you're doing? Like, what is this? What inspired it?
Well, I'll start off by taking this and saying when we left the vault, we were eager. We were eager vault dwellers willing to take on Appalachia. But as you know, we came out to a giant shit show. But all of us having a lot of experience in the Fallout world plowed through the game so fast that when we had done that, we were kind of left with a big plate full of nothing. And we were like, so what are we supposed to do now? Well, Mac and I had a conversation, and we were like, you know what if we go around and, like, review camps? Not as an HOA, not as anything at all, but just as a group of people who really love camp building, who love the idea of taking this sandbox Bethesda has given us and seeing what we can do with it. Well, in the process of that, we saw some amazing camps. We posted one thing on Reddit, and the next thing I know, it had like 500 comments. It had, listen, I don't know the exact number, but a ridiculous amount of upvotes. And we thought to ourselves, this could be content. We could have fun playing like not playing like we are an HOA. Touring around Appalachia, seeing what we could see and getting to be dicks in the process, but kind dicks, friendly dicks. But, if someone had a floating house, which every time we ran upon one in the White Spring, Mac or myself would go, oh, God, here we go again.
Mm-hmm. I get excited.
Exactamundo, held up by a staircase. And it just kind of blew up. Like, we started out with the Reddit thing that we were just having a little fun. That went nuts. Well, then we're like, well, you know what? Going into a longer story, some of us have history actually in the industry of show business. And we were just sitting around, and I thought to myself, you know what if we built a stage? Do you think people would actually show up to watch a show if we actually built a stage? Because we knew we weren't the only people who had gobbled up the content. And so we built a little stage next to my first real camp, which was a remake of the Tower of Terror from Disneyland. And
Love it.
well, and we built a little stage, and we had a game show. We had like 13 people show up. And I was like, I can't believe people are actually showing up to answer Fallout trivia questions, and they were hooting and hollering and having a whole thing. And from that day, Colby, our chief AV connection, was in the audience. Or actually, I think we had been talking before how we got to the point where Colby's incredible.
Well, you had eval'd me. You evaluated my camera, and then you had invited me to the trivia. And I asked if I could stream it, and I did.
That's exactly
and I think when you saw the footage, you made that edit, and then released it on. Where did you release it? YouTube? Yeah, you put it on YouTube,
and we got thousands of views.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so I said, but listen, Mac and I don't want to say we're old men, but you know, it's been a while since we've been carded for Nuka Shine, if you know what I'm talking about. And what the fuck do we know about Twitch? What the fuck do we know about in-gameography? I mean, the extent of our playing is pulling the trigger. And saw the fact that he had a history with Twitch and the ability to navigate that system. And it was just like, you know what? We need to bring in somebody who can do the behind-the-scenes technical work while we do what we were trained in, which is the showbiz aspect of the thing.
I love it. It's aces in their places. You know, you guys kind of were like building a team. An idea was coming together. All machines need moving parts, and you were just, putting.
Well, the parts on this machine, Greg, the problem is they're moving fast. You know, I mean, it's not lost on us that in a month and a half, we're coming up on 800 followers on Twitter who actively ask for evaluations, who want to be involved in our game shows. You know, tomorrow our game show is probably the craziest, biggest one we've ever done. It's trivia or death. If you get the question right, then you leave with a small amount of caps and your life. But if you get it wrong, the minute you get it wrong, the entire audience opens fire on you. I mean, it's really got more momentum than we kind of know what to do with. But by the grace of God, by the grace of Adam, excited.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like, seriously, the whole in character thing, the whole when I went back, I watched everything on YouTube that you guys had. I was like, okay, I need to know everything, and I just sat. Let's just say I got paid to watch you today at work. I didn't do no work. I watched. I did nothing but watch HOA stuff today, and.
Here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about
you guys
that.
are always in character. You guys are always on, and I think that's great. I think that, like,
here's the thing about that, if you don't mind.
It's really there.
Have you been outside? Have you been IRL? It's
the
fucking
graphics
nightmare.
are awful.
It's a dumpster
Graphics
fire.
are awful.
The graphics suck. The graphics suck, and the men writing the program are fucking the whole thing up. It's more fun in here. Listen, I'm not saying it's not the Matrix where we go home and jack in, but listen. I get to be a fucking game show host. He gets to be the chief technician. He gets to be the one who hacked into Rose's dish. Matt gets to be the face of fun, the face of frivolity, the mixologist, the after party. We get to be that the world doesn't really want anymore, or has too many people to fill those roles. I can't go out and get a game show host job. There's no monster.com ad for that right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel you.
So for us, it's just flipping our switch. This whole fucking thing is flipping our switch.
Absolutely.
I love it.
I'll touch on that too, because I haven't told Boss Daddy or Mac about this, but I've got a history with AV as well. I used to live next to a guy who worked lighting and audio for concerts, and he would always invite me as a kid to go and help him do that. So I've grown up with this kind of fascination over lights and audio and working the shows and. I'm a musician, but I feel like my place in music would be behind the scenes, working lights and sound.
Because if you saw the HOA TV studios that this man built, terminals and multiple lights that he can change the set color instantly while we're doing our broadcasts. It's a monument.
Inspiring.
It's like Bethesda said, "Here, do this," and we said, "No. Do all of this." It's really an impressive feat to see what he's wired up back at the HOA studio.
Right.
Well, it's. Oh yeah, no. With being just believe me, anybody who's in the chat right now. Well, let's what as you guys are just so fresh on the and everything that you're doing is amazing. Have you encountered while doing now what I've watched it like an hour long, you randomly find faces out there and you just say hi and you start evaluating. The Wasteland's not full of nice people.
I took an axe to the face last week. Last week I took an axe to the face. Literally,
He did.
I'm like,
but this was
literally opened the door and I was like,
post-violation, though.
Hi, allow me to introduce myself. Of course, I'm Boss Daddy from the Wasteland Estates Homeowners. With me is my beautiful wife, Boss Mommy, and the rest of the staff of the Wasteland Estates Homeowners Association. We travel the Wasteland doing random camp evaluations. We were wondering if you'd like us to evaluate your camp. And he gave us the thumbs up, and I said, well, first off, you're floating, so you're already in violation. Thunk! Right in my fucking forehead. He chased me off his step with a goddamn axe. You know, I call it intellectual griefing. In a way, it's intellectual griefing, because you know, or the kindest form of griefing, because we never fired back on the guy. No one raised a hand to the guy. It's not what we're doing. What we're doing, when I say intellectual griefing, I don't mean we're actually griefing people, but some person comes up and tell you your camp sucks, you might be inclined to hit him in the face with a goddamn.
Oh yeah, no, I call those floating houses. Me and my friends, we're old school Fallout 4 builders. So when we came in, we knew, you know, no floating bases. People are gonna laugh at you. Somebody's gonna, you know, people are gonna like that. They're gonna know
we call them floaters.
Yeah. We're like, whoa, living on some stairs. We're always making fun.
Let me tell you something. Mac is not kidding. The most incredible things I hear you,
definitely.
Mac. The most incredible thing that I have ever seen in Fallout building is in Fallout 4, and it's dragons. And I kept telling him, this is long the HOA existed, back before there was 76. I kept telling him, you have painted one of the most beautiful paintings that anyone has ever painted, and you've hung it in a completely black room. No one will ever see any of it.
Right.
It's a marvel. Yeah. So we're actually going to be, Colby and Mac are working out a way to actually stream add to HOA TV, I don't know what we'd call it, the pièce de résistance of Mac Fraggins, and put a series of it on HOA TV, because the best part about this game, the reason that so many people who actually gave it time were able to overlook the obvious problems with it. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. We've been in the middle of a show and had server disconnect with 24 people in the stands, and the fucking theater vanishes beneath them. We literally, I don't know if you heard about this, Greg, but we literally broke a server. We had 24 people nude fighting on Nukashine in the pool by Riverside Manor, and the server did such weird things that it actually froze, and they put up a sign saying, "We are shutting the server down for maintenance."
In a party until the server crashes is what I've heard.
Exactamundo.
Right.
Exactamundo. But that's the point, though. That the thing that's easy to overlook, the glaring difficulties that this game had at launch, and to some degree still has in varying sundry, is that the social is insane. Listen, the HOA is a bunch of arrogant pricks who judge houses and host game shows and talent shows, but the reality is we're actually, the best part about this is all of the fucking awesome people that we are meeting who we otherwise never would have had a chance to meet, who share similar interests with us. Yeah, I mean, most people come out of the vault, they get shot in the head. Mac walked out of the vault for the first time on Xbox. There was a fucking congregation waiting to loud him with gifts, and I mean, it was the reception has been so kind, and that's why we've started saying your HOA instead of the HOA, your HOA instead of the HOA, because it's almost to the point where it's not us anymore. It's everybody. When we do a stream of random camp evals, it is not uncommon for 10 people to and just go with us, who have us on their Twitch, have us on the Twitter, who know who we are, and just want to run with the HOA. It's just becoming this. It's becoming this ball of personalities, as opposed to this. When I say gag, it's for lack of a better word, but gag that it intended out to be, or it started out to be. It was just a joke for Mac and I to add a little more content for ourselves to the game, and we've ended up adding content for ourselves and everybody's been content back to us. It's an absolute win across the board.
It's just amazing sitting here listening to how this organically formed out of just your love of the game. And
do you
now
think that
how
there
it's
was a plan
snowballed.
to be a homeowners association a month and a half ago? Do you think we sat down at some board table with some files and some fucking market research and Beck County was bringing in Starbucks?
I'm a YouTuber. Scripting is not above question.
I didn't know Colby a month and a half ago, and boy, those were the good old days.
Seriously though, this is like a phenomenon. This is definitely like I'm super proud of you guys as gamers and human beings doing something like this, taking something and repurposing it. You know what I mean? This is you turned.
They gave us a sandbox. They gave us this. Really. Listen, this is pretentious as fuck. But the truth is, it's like you used to be able to kid a box of Legos and come back an hour later and you would have a castle built in front of you. You didn't say, here's a castle building kit. You said, here's a bunch of fucking pieces. What are you going to do with them? And I feel to some degree Bethesda said to us, here's a bunch of fucking pieces. What are you going to do with them? What we did was make a judgmental HOA and in-game production studio.
I love it. And I love how it's all in-game. I actually was really funny is I appreciate it because I was doing my unique camp vids on my channel and I was like, you know what? I think it'd be cool if I did a voiceover and it was me sitting on screen. I've never seen that before. And then I was able to be unique for about 35 minutes. And then I discovered Wasteland HOA and how you guys do everything in game. And I was like, okay, all right. I see
you. Want a little you want a secret that I have found out from this? I'll tell you what a secret I have found out about that from this. You got to have people to bounce off of. Mac and Colby and Boss Mommy, we are learning each other's personalities. We are learning.
So cool.
We are bouncing off each other now, which is only developing these characters more. The fact that Colby scaled top of the world, jacked into Rose's dish while she was chemmed out on Psycho. That's how HOA TV exists. We found a bunch of equipment in Watoga High AV room, and I was like, we got to do something with this. And Colby's like, if you can get Rose stoned, I can climb that tower. You know what I'm saying? It's this nebulous thing that, I don't know. I'm not a game show host in real life. Colby is not an AV technician in real life. I mean, I have plenty of showbiz experience. Colby has plenty of AV experience. Mac has plenty of alcohol experience. But we get to be the best.
I love it.
The movie The Matrix. Remember when Neo comes out of is in the Matrix and he looks perfect and they call it your residual self-image, the best you that you see yourself as physically. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Listen. If I could run around in Emmys in a toque all day, I would do it in real life all the time. This is a very fun version of who we all naturally are.
I love it. The expression. Like you guys are I love how you guys are all on the same page as well in terms of just how like your answers and your general vibe. You guys got
don't get me wrong. We have a boardroom for a reason, and we don't stream the boardroom because we often end up fucking yelling at each other about.
That's what a boardroom is for.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, we all know. Listen, look at what's happened with the HOA on social media, and we say to ourselves, any one of us would be stupid to do something to stop this from happening, because I've been out of the show business game for 5 years. I'm glad to be back in whatever capacity this silly game has allowed me to be back. Colby is getting a lot of respect as an in-game videographer because his camera work is phenomenal. Mac is the party guy, and he's making so many new friends who all come to him for the party. At the end of the day, we have the boardroom so that after the meeting is over, we all come out, and I'm Boss Daddy, he's Colby Cheese, and that's Mac Fraggins, and she's Boss Mommy. Well, and not only that, but one of the biggest problems we have as an HOA is people having to fight their way to get into our servers for our shows.
Yeah, those damn queue lines.
We've taken complete servers, all 24 people. I mean, multiple times. There's plenty of photos on the HOA's Twitter to show it. But when you want to start a show at 4 and you say, hey, we're going to open the server at 2, first off, you hope the server doesn't crash between 2 and 4. But also, you inevitably get people fighting to get their way on the server, which if you're doing a game show isn't the worst thing, but if you're doing a talent show, maybe you've got 2 people booked to perform like we did at Wasteland's Got Talent, who you're like, oh my God, I hope they even get on the server because we need to fill that spot to perform. So private servers are going to make that a deal. But listen to So we started on PS4. Now we're at Xbox. It doesn't mean we're going to neglect PS4. We're just going to have a better budget where we can juggle all of these things with the HOA. But get this, Greg, my friend, I'm going to break the story right here on Gamer Redefined. We have figured out how to bring cross-compatible play to a game that does not support it. We have figured out a way to have Xbox and PlayStation compete against each other in real time, thanks to the magic of Colby's AV technician skills and Twitch. So you want to talk about a sandbox? How about bringing cross-compatible play to a game, literally where it's impossible for it to exist?
I'm intrigued by your large words, sir.
Well, you need a second to write them all down? Well, we
You're
don't
a
want to
showman.
spoil
You're
it
a
yet.
showman. Boss.
We don't
You're
want
a
to
showman.
spoil it yet, but we are going to be pitting multiple consoles against each other in real-time game show events now that we can do it on, now that we're breaking through that wall.
Nice, because my next
Big
question really was to ask all you guys, like, what's next? What, without spoiling too much in the future or giving away too much, what's next for HOA? I mean, I'm talking, are we going to...
Who said... Well, listen,
where's
hold
the
on a
merch?
second.
Where's the merch? Where's the merch? I want a t-shirt. Where's the merch? I want to buy like 4 of them.
Yeah, my camp was approved.
I'm ready to buy like 4
Listen,
of them.
a lot of people have, back when I was doing stand-up comedy, for 15 years before the bombs fell, before I won the vault, I was headlining clubs and casinos. That's what I did. Not unfortunately, I don't mean to say it like that. My situation changed. Our daughter was diagnosed with autism. She required daily and home therapy. And even though I was headlining clubs and casinos, my wife was still out earning me. And I was having to be on the road 40 weeks out of the year. I was constantly. And somebody had to stay home. So that I tell you all this to get to the point now, which the alcohol and weed has prevented me from remembering. What's the future hold? There we go.
I love you guys. I love you guys so much.
I was going to sing like a motherfucker, too. It was going to hit like a goddamn atom bomb. What's next? We're working on that, which isn't to say we don't have grand ideas. Listen, there's a stage in every game, Greg. And if there's not a stage, there's no reason why 14 people on a Black Ops server can't lay down their guns for a game show or for a talent show or for other things. There's no reason we have to stay trapped in this particular sandbox. But this sandbox is still so fresh and still budding, and I believe there's a second wave of gamer coming to Fallout 76. It's the gamer who hears about
it's already hit.
Fallout Photo Mob, hashtag AOHOA. I believe there is a second wave coming to 76 of the people who hear, you know what, I may not be down with what the content of the game is, and I'm not hating on the content, but I know for a fact every Sunday my friends to a game show and having a hell of a good time, and I'd like to sit in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've actually offered to buy my friends copies of the game when it was $35 to prove to them that it's addictive as hell.
It is.
There are so many opportunities for a professional showman, a professional AV technician and Twitcher, and whatever the fuck Magfraggin does to figure out how to take this bigger. We have the time, we have the resources, we have the intellect, we have the desire. None of us are new gamers. We've been gaming our whole lives. So we don't know exactly what it is, or we're not ready to tell you. But don't think for 1 second that we don't spend a good portion of every board meeting figuring out where do we go next. Once we get to the point that we feel like we're ready to punch through this wall and straight up Wreck-It Ralph every game, we can Wreck-It Ralph every game. The HOA is not tied to Appalachia, even though we'll always be home.
You guys have definitely just answered all questions. The information here today just could everything I possibly needed to know. I'm actually very excited because you decided to squish everything together and you're gonna put me across the coals. You're gonna make me walk the Camp Eval plank.
Well, listen, just because you're going to make us look good in the article and talk about how well hung and handsome we are doesn't mean we can get you off the hook easy when it comes to an eval. We have a job.
No,
We're the Wasteland Estates HOA.
Crush me. Do it. I want you to hit me. I want you to destroy me. I want you to just find what you don't like.
If we get there and it's a floating box held up by a staircase, my friend, I will not be the only person to take an axe to the face, is all I have to say about that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right. Well, I think at this point, if you've gotten everything you need for the interview, hello to everybody on the Twitch. Appreciate you guys all listening. Chowbon says that buying your friends a copy of 76 is like buying your friends crack cocaine. No kidding. If I could chop my case up and snort it, I would. So why don't you fast travel to your camp, and we'll come to you, and we'll bring the HOA for an eval. How's it?
All right, that's easy. I am right next to the Sutton Railroad, conveniently located.
Oh, perfect.
You always need a merchandise.
Right on.
Yeah. We have a whole
Thanks
neighborhood.
for spending a little time with us on the interview. That was fun. Did you guys enjoy that?
Enjoy
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. I'm going to magically teleport out of this room in a few seconds, and I'll see you at the camp.
All right. You did your job. Now we're gonna do ours.
Like, comment, subscribe, and tune in every week for fresh gaming content from Game Redefined.